Jesus woke me up at 3:47 this morning and told me to do something that absolutely terrified me. Not inspire people. Not make content. Not even pray more. He gave me a specific, detailed responsibility that requires me to risk everything I've built over the past 5 years. And when I tried to say no, when I listed every reason why I'm not the right person, he looked at me with eyes full of love and said words that shattered me completely. What he's asking isn't just difficult. It's impossible without complete surrender of my career, my reputation, and my comfortable life as I know it. I'm sitting here 12 hours later, and my hands are still shaking because I know what I have to do, and I know it will cost me everything. Here's what makes this so overwhelming. Jesus didn't appear to congratulate me on the chosen success or to bless the work we're doing. He came with a mission so specific that he gave me names, places, timelines, and the exact first step I have to take within the next 48 hours. He said there are millions of people waiting for someone to be obedient enough to do this one thing, and their breakthrough is delayed because no one with a platform has been willing to pay the price. The responsibility he gave me isn't in any ministry handbook. It's not something I can delegate or modify or do halfway. It requires a level of vulnerability and risk that I've spent my entire adult life avoiding. But I can't unhear what he said. I can't unsee what he showed me. And I can't pretend this was just a dream, because everything in my spirit confirms this was a divine appointment. What I'm about to tell you will either inspire your obedience or expose your comfort. This changes everything. I'm in my hotel room in Texas where we're filming season 6, and I should be reviewing scripts right now. The call time is in 3 hours. My phone has 47 unread messages from the production team. There's a stack of scenes I need to memorize sitting on the desk in front of me. But I can't focus on any of it because the weight of what Jesus asked me to do is crushing my chest like a physical force. I've been staring at the same page of script for 90 minutes. The words blur together because all I can see is his face, all I can hear is his voice, all I can feel is this impossible responsibility pressing down on every part of my life. You know, playing Jesus for the past 5 years has been the greatest honor of my existence. Millions of people have watched The Chosen. We've received thousands of messages about lives changed, faith restored, hope rekindled. I thought that was the mission. I genuinely believed that portraying Christ with excellence and authenticity was what God called me to do. I poured everything into getting the character right, into honoring the role, into representing him well on screen. And I was content with that. It felt like enough. It felt like a complete calling. But last night, Jesus made it devastatingly clear that the show was never the destination. It was preparation. The platform wasn't the purpose. It was the tool. And now he's asking me to use that tool in a way that terrifies me more than anything I've ever faced. Success in Hollywood, recognition for the role, even the impact of the show, all of it feels meaningless now compared to this one act of obedience he's requiring. I keep picking up my phone to call my agent, my manager, the producers, to explain what I'm about to do. But how do I tell them that everything is about to change because Jesus appeared in a dream? How do I explain that the trajectory we've carefully built might have to shift because of a divine interruption? My coffee is cold. I haven't eaten since yesterday. And I know the moment I say yes out loud, there's no going back. Let me tell you what led to this moment, because I think the context reveals why Jesus came now. 3 weeks ago, we wrapped filming on some of the most emotionally intense scenes we've ever done for The Chosen. I was exhausted, not just physically but spiritually depleted in a way I'd never experienced. Every day on set, I'd been asking God if I was worthy of this role, if I was representing him accurately, if the work mattered. But beneath those surface questions was something deeper gnawing at my soul. A restlessness. A sense that something more was coming. I started having these strange moments between takes where I'd feel this overwhelming conviction that playing Jesus wasn't supposed to be my identity. It was supposed to teach me something. Prepare me for something. But for what? I'd been experiencing this growing tension between the comfort of my current life and this undefined sense that God was preparing me for a bigger assignment. You know those feelings you try to ignore because acknowledging them might require change you're not ready for? That was consuming me. About 10 days ago, I was on a flight from Utah back to Texas, And I found myself reading the passage where Jesus calls Peter to leave his fishing business. Not just take a break from it. Leave it completely. Walk away from everything familiar to follow an uncertain path. And I remember thinking, thank God he's not asking me to do anything that radical. The show is ministry. The platform serves the kingdom. I can follow Jesus and keep my comfortable life intact, right? But even as I thought that, something in my spirit rebelled against the comfort of that logic. The night before the dream, we filmed a scene where Jesus tells his disciples that following him will cost them everything they value. As I spoke those lines, I felt this visceral conviction settle over me. The words weren't just script. They were a warning about my own life. After we wrapped, I sat in my trailer for 2 hours, unable to shake this growing certainty that Jesus was about to ask me for something I didn't want to give. That night, I did something I'd been avoiding for weeks. I prayed the most dangerous prayer a person can pray. I said, Jesus, if you appeared to me right now, what would you tell me to do? Not what blessing would you give me? Not what encouragement would you speak? What would you tell me to do? And then I added the words that sealed my fate. I'll do it. Whatever it is. Even if it costs me everything I've worked for. Even if people think I'm crazy. Even if I fail. I'll do it. I fell asleep with those words echoing in my spirit, having no idea how literally God was about to answer that prayer. I'd been wrestling for months with a question that wouldn't leave me alone. Why did God give me this specific platform? The Chosen has reached hundreds of millions of people globally. My social media following has grown to numbers I never imagined. I have access to rooms, conversations, and influence that most actors never experience. For what purpose? I kept telling myself it was to portray Jesus well, to point people to the Gospels, to make faith accessible. All true, all good, but incomplete. There was this persistent whisper in my spirit that kept saying, the platform is bigger than the show. The influence is preparation for obedience. The audience is listening so that when the moment comes, they'll hear what matters most. But what moment? What obedience? I had no idea, and honestly, part of me didn't want to know because I suspected it would require more than I was comfortable giving. I'm just an actor. That's what I kept telling myself. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a theologian. I'm not a ministry leader. I play Jesus in a show, but I struggle with the same doubts, fears, insecurities, and sins as everyone else. Who am I to carry some divine responsibility beyond my job description? The imposter syndrome was overwhelming. Here I am being recognized for portraying the Son of God, and internally I'm battling pride, dealing with anxiety, wrestling with ambition. How could God possibly trust me with something more important than what I'm already doing? But I couldn't escape the biblical pattern I kept seeing in my studies. God never chooses qualified people for impossible assignments. Moses couldn't speak well. Gideon was hiding in fear. David was overlooked by his own family. Peter denied Christ 3 times. Paul persecuted the church. The pattern was undeniable. God specifically selects inadequate people for assignments that require divine intervention, so that when it works, everyone knows it wasn't human capability. That truth both comforted and terrified me. I'd been having conversations with spiritual mentors, asking them questions I couldn't quite articulate clearly. What if God asks you to do something that doesn't make sense for your career? How do you know when a prompting is from God versus just your own thoughts? What does radical obedience look like in modern life? Everyone gave thoughtful answers, but no one could speak to the specific restlessness burning in my chest. The answer had to come directly from God, and I was both desperate for it and terrified of receiving it. Late at night, I'd been reading about the cost of discipleship. Not the Sunday school version where following Jesus makes your life better. The real version where Jesus says you have to lose your life to find it. Where he warns that discipleship will cost you relationships, comfort, reputation, and security. I'd been underlining passages with shaking hands, realizing I'd spent years following Jesus at a safe distance. Close enough to be identified as his follower. Far enough to maintain control of my life. The question haunting me was this: what if Jesus asked me to do something that threatened everything I've built? What if obedience meant walking away from opportunities I've prayed for? What if following him required me to become controversial, misunderstood, or even opposed by people in the Christian community? Was I willing to obey Jesus even if it cost me the very platform he'd given me? I didn't know. And that uncertainty revealed how conditional my surrender actually was. Maybe you're in this exact place right now. You have influence, resources, or opportunities, and you sense God preparing you for something that scares you. You're successful by worldly standards, but there's this restlessness suggesting that what you're doing isn't what you're made for. Comment below if you're feeling this tension, because what happened to me is about to show you why God allows that holy dissatisfaction. That night, I surrendered completely. I told Jesus I would do whatever he asked, even if I didn't understand it, even if it didn't make sense, even if it cost me the recognition I'd grown comfortable receiving. I meant it when I said it. I had no idea he was about to test that surrender in the most specific way imaginable. The dream didn't begin in heaven or some mystical realm. I was standing on the Chosen set, but it was empty. No crew, no cameras, no other actors. Just me in the middle of the Galilee location we'd built, and the silence was so profound I could hear my own heartbeat. That's when I saw him. Jesus. Not as I portray him with makeup and wardrobe. Not as I imagine him during prayer. This was Jesus in a way that made every portrayal seem like a pale shadow. His presence radiated authority and tenderness simultaneously, and I immediately fell to my knees, not out of religious habit but because my legs literally couldn't hold me standing in that presence. He spoke my name, and it wasn't just sound. It was like he spoke my entire identity, history, and destiny in those syllables. "Jonathan," he said, "I've given you a platform, and now I'm giving you an assignment." My heart started racing because I knew whatever came next would change everything. He gestured around the empty set and continued, "This has never been about you portraying me. It's about you becoming willing to obey me in ways that require the same surrender I'm asking of millions who watch you." Then he told me the specific responsibility, and it broke me completely. Jesus said I was to use the next season of influence to gather believers, not for another show or project or ministry program, but to mobilize them into radical acts of service that the camera will never see. He showed me mental images of what this looks like. Organizing teams to serve the homeless in every city where the Chosen has fans. Using social media not to promote content but to deploy thousands of people into their communities to meet practical needs. Redirecting the attention from the show to the streets, from the screen to the suffering, from entertainment to transformation. "But Lord," I said through tears, "that could hurt the show's growth. That could make people uncomfortable. That could be misunderstood as using the platform for personal agenda." His response shattered my remaining resistance. "Jonathan, do you want people to love a show about me, or do you want them to obey me? Do you want millions of viewers, or do you want thousands of servants? I didn't give you this platform so people could admire a portrayal. I gave it to you so that when I said, 'Go and serve,' you'd have people ready to listen." I broke down completely. The weight of redirecting everything I'd built towards something that might diminish the very platform he'd given me seemed impossible. But Jesus placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "You're not the first person I've asked to decrease so I can increase. Will you do this for me?" Through tears and trembling I whispered, "Yes." That's when I woke up with the responsibility burning in my chest like a physical brand. I've spent the 12 hours since that dream arguing with myself. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe it was just my subconscious processing stress. Maybe there's a way to do a smaller version that doesn't require such radical redirection. But every time I try to rationalize it away, that moment of surrender comes back. The feeling of his hand on my shoulder. The look in his eyes that was both tender and unmovable. I can't escape it. Here's what this means practically. It means changing how I use social media from promoting projects to mobilizing servants. It means potentially alienating industry relationships by prioritizing obedience over opportunity. It means my team having difficult conversations about redirect resources towards service initiatives instead of content production. It means being willing to watch the platform shrink if obedience requires it. Every part of my flesh wants to find a compromise position. A way to obey Jesus without it costing me anything significant. But that's not how divine assignments work. The fear is overwhelming. What if I do this and people think I'm exploiting the Jesus role for personal ministry ambitions? What if it creates division among fans of the show? What if the producers feel I'm undermining the project? What if my obedience damages something God built? But underneath all those fears is a deeper truth I can't escape. Jesus didn't ask me if it was convenient. He asked me if I was willing. And I already said yes. This isn't about feeling confident or capable. It's about will and choice. I'm terrified. I feel completely inadequate. I have no idea how to execute what he's asking. But I'm saying yes anyway because I'd rather fail in obedience than succeed in comfort. Starting today, the platform shifts from pointing to a show about Jesus to mobilizing people to obey Jesus. That's the responsibility. That's what broke me. That's what I have to do. Here's what I need you to understand. This dream wasn't just about me. Jesus has a specific assignment for you too. Not a vague calling to be a good person or attend church or share verses online. A specific, costly, actionable responsibility that requires you to risk something you value for kingdom purposes. Most people never discover it because they never ask the direct question. We're comfortable with general faith. Specific obedience is terrifying. Tonight, before you sleep, ask Jesus this exact question. If you appeared to me right now, what would you tell me to do? Not what blessing would he give. Not what encouragement would he speak. What would he tell you to do? But warning, only ask if you're ready to obey the answer. Because he will tell you. It will be specific. It will cost you something. It will require faith beyond your capacity. And that's how you'll know it's actually from him. The breaking you'll feel isn't weakness. It's the necessary shattering of self-sufficiency before divine assignment. If you feel completely capable of what God asks, you're probably listening to your own ambition. His assignments always exceed your abilities so that his power is revealed through your inadequacy. I'm committing to document this obedience journey. The cost, the fear, the miracles, the failures. Because your breakthrough might be waiting on someone else's obedience. Don't let this be content you consume and forget. Let it be the catalyst for your own conversation with Jesus. Ask him tonight. Then wake up tomorrow and obey, even if it breaks you. Subscribe to follow what happens next. Comment with what God is asking you to do. Share this if you're ready to move from admiring Jesus to obeying him, whatever the cost.